I gotta stop saying good morning. Hello, Kagglers. All right, monitor sounds good. I'm waiting for streaming to catch up with me. All right, good morning for me, and I suppose I could say something like, hello, Kagglers. Hey, Yevgenji? Apologies if I said that incorrectly. It's really hard. I mean, A, names are hard for me in general, and B, it's hard for me to know, like, what language, so I've got too much stuff on my chair here, what language your name comes from, which would help me do, like, a more reasonable guess, but, Kovos, greetings. Hello. Today, we are going to be continuing to work on our project that we've been working on for a little bit now. And the point of my project is that gotta sign in. Got it. I'll pop that down in a new tab so I'm not distracting you. The point of the project is that I have so far actually read all of the Kaggle forum posts that aren't on competitions every day out loud with my eyes, like as a human, which is not a very scalable way of doing things, especially given that the number of forum posts is growing exponentially over time, which is fantastic. Love to see y'all chit-chatting away. But unfortunately, it does mean that I have less time to give to each forum post, and maybe I'm going to miss some important ones. And if I'm doing something in a week and I can't like make sure that I have time for it, then maybe I don't learn about something that I should know about. So, it's like Eugene in English. Oh, Eugenie. Okay, I would not have guessed that. Thanks for letting me know. Anthony says, videos are helpful for someone beginning self-teaching. Good, I'm glad. Sina says, it's really hard that you're not coding in Python. I am coding in Python, dude. It's Python. I do also use R sometimes, but for this project, because it's more NLPE, I tend to prefer Python for that. So, hey, Zoe! Good to see you. Zoe's a Twitter friend of mine. And real friend? I don't know if we've met. Anyway, Anthony says, quick question, why do some of your previous notebooks not allow forking anymore? They should. It is hidden under the meatball menu, as one of my friends calls it. Good morning, Gabsina. So it should be forkable. The only the only notebooks on Kaggle that aren't forkable are, we've made our, what's this? We made our web view more reactive because we got feedback that a lot of people were trying to use it on mobile and were just frustrated. So I'm getting used to how to navigate in a slightly smaller space. But under courses on Kaggle, the lessons aren't forkable. And then when you click on the exercise, so the tutorials aren't forkable. When you click on the exercise, it will automatically fork it just because people who are new to the site were starting with courses and getting confused. But in general, our project should be forkable. Sina said, I thought it would be in R. I mean, sometimes it's in R. Mostly these days it's in Python. Hello from Palestine. Gotham says, can you show Gustav on air? Oh, he's asleep. I don't want to wake him up. Maybe at some point. And Don Chu says, Nubian ML here. Welcome. A little sip of tea. Okay. So, the project that we've been working on is a way of summarizing what's going on in the Kaggle forums, basically. And this is a project I'm doing for me to make my life easier, but also to have sort of like a daily report that I can share with the engineering team and be like, hey, here's the bugs, people are talking about this, we should probably fix it, whatever. So right now I think there's a bug with the course completion tracking that we just launched, and we are working on it. We've seen y'all comments, we're working on it. And Gustav's asleep in his cage. So what we've done so far is a lot of work on trying different pre-processing. Right now we're using keyword extraction so that we're not using all of the words at one time, except I think we might have actually commented that out. Yeah, we didn't actually do keyword extraction at this point. This is what we worked on last time, and then we were using embeddings, and we're using specifically word-to-vec embeddings that we fine-tuned for Kaggle. So we've added Kaggle-specific vocabulary words and taken into account common co-occurrences. And we're using spectral clustering. We've used brown clustering previously. Did not work great. So spectral clustering is graph-based clustering. So you can just use it to describe areas in the feature space that are maybe like non-contiguous or like a bullseye shape. You can describe using spectral clustering. So, oh, sorry, Gustav is my hedgehog. Yeah. And then we had clusters. We also did a little data cleaning. We removed HTML stuff. Last week we removed polite posts. So posts where people were just like, oh, thanks, or nice work, or, you know, just nice things that you would say to somebody that I'm very happy to see, but aren't super informative in terms of like trying to figure out if there's anything going on the site that we should know about. So we were working on that. And at this point we have some clusters, and the problem that I have been thinking about a little bit is how to visualize these. So I think if I keep going down, we ended up with some, so we had some word clouds, and they're not really that informative. These ones in particular seem to be some of these looks like maybe I've missed some of the polite clusters. So this one's just like, thanks, hello, smote for some reason. I think that's an algorithm. There's an algorithm called smote. Keep going, sounds like encouragement, data used, and the ones that just say series are because these clusters are blank. So I defined a number of clusters based on the square root of the number of posts, and if not all clusters are filled, then that's fine. But this isn't like a great visualization, and it's a little bit hard to tell what's going on in these clusters, even though if we go and look at the words themselves, these look like they are comments on different kernels, talking about the kernel. So this one, maybe it's sort of like advice. This one's like, I'm not an R person, but going to say something about R probably. Thank you for notation. The kernel is simple. Good job. Upvoted your kernel. So these are sort of reactions to a kernel, and they seem to be positive and maybe some feedback incorporated with them. This one says, these two are just duplicates. This one is all about, looks like most of it is about BQML and the bike sharing exercise that we did for that. So people are talking about queries and SQL, and this one I think is probably about the blackjack problem. Yeah, the blackjack problem. So this is a good cluster, but then if we look at the cluster down here, what is it? This is cluster 11. So if we go down here, I don't think I actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That might be slightly off, but one of these is this cluster that's really about, it's probably this one, is really about BQML and SQL, and that's not showing up in the clusters at all. So these aren't very helpful. Gebson says, how did you fine-tune the embeddings? Did you train from scratch on a Kaggle-specific corpus? No, we pre-trained the word-to-vec 300. Sorry, we used the pre-trained word-to-vec 300, and then we just did an additional layer of fine-tuning with the Kaggle comments corpus before the day that we did the fine-tuning, which was a couple weeks ago. But I think we had about, I want to say 500,000 posts. So it added words like Kaggle and kernels, and I think BERT was in there. We did a little bit of validation of that. And that is somewhere. It's in one of these notebooks. Shika says, can you send the link to the previous topics, previous videos related to this topic? It should all be in the Kaggle live coding playlist on Kaggle's YouTube. So, I mean, you'll get there differently depending on what platform you are, but I think if you search Kaggle live coding, it should be one of the few top results is the playlist that has all the videos in it. Okay, visualizing clusters. So mostly in the past when I've had to visualize clusters like this, I've been perfectly fine with word clouds or just some sort of very frequency-based thing. But in this case, it's not super informative. Like, it's not, I can't look at these and be like, yes, clearly these people are all talking about, like, a specific thing. Like, maybe it's about data sets, maybe it's about, like, airplane something in there and geodata, but it's not super informative. And so I've been reading through these lecture slides from a course at the University of Washington by Jeffrey Here. I got my PhD at the University of Washington. I have not taken this course. I don't know if I know Jeffrey Here. It's a big university. But I thought it would be helpful to sort of get an idea of the other techniques that people are using. So a couple of ones that I'm assuming Jeffrey is a he, a couple of ones that he mentioned. So word clouds. I mean, first is just like printing out the document, which could work. But the thing is, I'm doing this so I don't have to read all the forum posts, or the people that I send the information to don't have to read all the forum posts. So just like reproducing the forum posts, it's like, the map of Panama or Peru. Anyway, there's this South American short story where the perfect map of either Panama or Peru, I think Panama, is Panama itself, and this map maker like recreates the country of Panama. It's a great short story, but in terms of data modeling, that's not good synthesis of the information. Anthony says, our feeds got bombarded by 15 Kaggle videos uploaded at once today. Oh yeah, we finally released the videos for CareerCon. I'm really excited that we finally did that. Maybe they should have trickled out a little bit more. I wasn't in charge of that. But yeah, so if you did the API event and have been patiently waiting for the live streams for those should be up soon or today at some point. Dwell says, if the word cloud doesn't look cohesive, how do we know the problem is not just with the clusters themselves? That's a great question. I think part of the reason why I feel comfortable saying that is because when I look at the clusters, like this one that's all about, learn and kernels and BQML, is that the posts themselves, this is for a day where I have read all of the posts, so I do know what people were talking about on this day. This seems like a reasonable, fairly cohesive cluster that I would have come up with, and I can't get that from the text clusters, the word clouds. So the clustering seems to be aligning with my intuitions as someone who's very familiar with this data set, but it doesn't seem to be reflecting the information that I would want it to. So it's a good question. Zoe says it's a Borges short story. Helpful. All right. How to get started in NLP. I recommend, this book. You don't have to get a physical copy, but this is the one that I like, and it is by Girafsky and Martin. Right. And it's also available for free on the internet, so you do not have to buy it. Tidy Text by Julia Silge and David Robinson is also very good. And also David Robinson does live coding, so if you want to see a little bit of our NLP work, his channel is a good one to follow. Okay, so word clouds not doing it for me. What are some of my other options? And despite having a degree in linguistics, I didn't really do a lot of document level stuff. I mostly did subword level stuff, so I don't have a lot of tricks up my sleeve. And I just didn't read a lot of the subword level. I didn't really read the sort of document level work very closely. So I want to see what other people are doing. Hello. All right, so here are more word clouds. Then there's this idea of a word tree with word sequences. And I actually saw this most recently with spellings of names. So like Rebecca, all the different ways to spell Rebecca, you're going to start with R, and then like how that, the frequency as those go on over time of the different spellings. I don't think that's going to work here, especially because this is really a way of summarizing sentence structures, and I don't care. That's not what's important to me. Pranav says, is there better text visualization than vanilla word clouds and TensorBoard embedding projections? Again, it's going to depend on, well, I guess not again. For the first time, it'll depend on what you're doing. So for me, for this project, word clouds aren't great. Embeddings are something that I've thought about. We talked a little bit about scatter text last week, and I don't think I've ever successfully got it installed in kernels. I think it has a Java dependency. We might see if it'll work. And Dwell says, maybe doing clustering on n-grams. Yeah, that's actually something that I've been thinking about. So as we go through here, and you guys can, I just searched, what did I search? I think I searched text visualization and maybe CSE 512. If you stick that in there, you'll be able to find it pretty easily. And there were sort of like basic terms in NLP. So this is a word frequency visualization. I don't think, that might actually be fairly helpful for us if we did really aggressive stop word removal. So what I'm thinking is the problem with word frequency visualization is we're going to get basically the same thing out as we do with our text clusters. So like keep would be the biggest, and then going would be the second biggest, and then well, and then done, and then informative. So we'd have to do pretty aggressive stop words removal in order to get to the point where these are all words that are informative, and it's going to have to be a custom stop word list, and I don't want to futz with that. So I think this could be a potential answer, but not for us right now. And Pranav says, scatter text also requires some binary labeling. Yeah, I think the most useful thing for scatter text, well, we'll keep going, and I think there's some examples of scatter text in here, and we can talk about that. More word clouds again. Word clouds also tend to work better with larger corpora, where the frequency shakes out a little bit better. So I could see us doing maybe like one word cloud of all the forum posts in a day. I think that would be reasonable. Yeah, actually, let's do that. So let's get you going. Where's the edit button? What if I just put edit on the end? Okay. Maybe that's what someone was asking about with forking. It's also possible that it was right there and I just didn't see it. So I could see a thing where we do a word cloud of all the forum posts in a day, but for a cluster of like 10 forum posts, that's not really enough. And as we can see with the topics, it's not helpful. It doesn't tell me the information that I want. So some other terms. So this is the scatter text that Pranav was mentioning. And the idea is that here you have frequency weighted by group membership, where group is some sort of binary label that you determine. So here it is partisan words in the discussion around abortion in the US Congress. So the more, I think these are going to be the more right-wing, it doesn't actually say, but it says, look, the more left-wing looks like things like women right to Senate, and these are stems, so they look a little bit weird. Decision, I think probably is what that is, or decide. And then the more right-wingy would say the words that were more indicative of membership in that community: kill, baby, abort, procedure. So there's obviously a difference in the type of language that's being used around here. And here is one on, it's smoothed by the log odds ratio. So the more, I think down is right-wing here. Infant admit Chinese. Industrial, maybe? It's a little bit weird. Bankruptcy, snow, ratified, ratification, confidential, church, Schumer. So there are different ways of smoothing these probabilities that will get you, different distributions of words, but you do need to have some sort of binary distinction. And my thought for the binary distinction that we could use would be one cluster versus another cluster. But again, that's going to work better when you have very large groups of text, and our clusters are fairly small. Sina says, do you use deep learning or machine learning in NLP projects? I've used both. I tend to prefer not deep learning, especially for A, because you need a lot of data, more data than we have here. B, because it's really hard to tune and it's a little bit less interpretable in general. There are techniques you can do to increase interpretability. I do use machine learning. I also Apparently it's common in the machine learning community to divide machine learning techniques from more statistically based, count-based, frequency-based techniques in NLP. I would consider those both machine learning, which I think is just my disciplinary background. But for this project, we're not using any deep learning. And this is something that I found really interesting. So this is a paper, Chung Manning and here, that might be Chris Manning, in 2012, where they were looking at how people describe documents, specifically graduate students, specifically dissertation abstracts. And they found that the most common way of describing documents was using bigrams. And I believe that these are not like you're going through and highlighting the document. You're not highlighting the document, you are just trying to describe the cluster of documents. So I think it might be worthwhile to see if we can do some sort of bigram extraction from our clusters, and that might be a good way to summarize the data. And there's also this evidence that humans, when they're doing this task, because this is basically I want to replace part of my job with robot, so I do want to have a human-like output. There is a tendency to avoid both very rare and very common words. So, and it looks like we're right around the median here when we're talking about multiple documents. So what we might do as a visualization summarization technique is take all the bigrams. Okay, so here's my thinking. My thinking is that we can take all the bigrams in our clusters, but because our clusters are very small, we're very unlikely to have repeated bigrams. So what we could do is we could sort all of the words by frequency and then take the middle two words, so not the least common, not the most common, based on frequency in our overall corpus, and then have those be our bigram to describe the cluster. It's going to be a little bit weird for sure. And then this is for scoring specific terms in the document. So I'd be interested to see if the code for this is actually available. Let's see. If it's out of Stanford, it almost certainly is, because they tend to be pretty gung-ho on open source. It was Chris Manning. It's like, I got it. Dwell says, I'm sort of reiterating what Shika said, but creating playlists on each project might be better than having a single playlist for live coding. That is a good idea. This is the first really big project that I've done over a lot of weeks. So maybe, especially when we get towards the end, I would try that. Oh, did I run this from top to bottom while we were talking? Oh, preparing your kernel. Let's try refreshing real quick. All right, and just run all while we're talking, because this takes a little bit to run. Actually, so I should have, sorry, I just want to, removing polite posts. So I should have already removed polite posts. This is what we did last week. So RPP is what I called that. So let's make sure I actually use this function. Yes. There we go. Okay, yeah. So I do remove polite posts. I create a little Boolean index, a Boolean vector, and I use that to create a negative index to remove the posts that are polite. So I might just use the sample posts instead of each of the clusters. Yeah, okay, so it's run all the way down. You can see here's one very helpful post that's just good. Great, love that. Super, super informative for me. clever. Christina, looks like we have some font errors. Congratulations. Error function replace. So this looks like there's a, this looks like this cluster is around a bug, which is good. Issue exercise problem. This looks like this cluster is around a bug. This is probably the learn problem. And then we have just like our big cluster as we generally tend to, because that's the way these, you can see we tend to have a distribution along these lines. Prof says, have you tried aspect and adjective extraction techniques and rank them according to their frequency? I have not. Okay, really quickly, I just want to do a one cluster for everybody. So I think I can just take all of this instead of putting in a loop. Correct that. So Shift Tab to realign. And then it was sample posts, and then I want the message, and then I want string, and then I'm going to call this posts as string, because then I don't have to rechange the name all the way down. So this should, in theory, I think my white space might be off here. Oh, no, it looks right. So I think this should, in theory, give us a single, nope. Oh, right. It's got to know about the next line. Series object has no attribute message. I think it's actually in info. Sample post info is not defined. Oh, sample post info, not sample posts info. All right, so if we look at just the sample post info, we get this output. We have failed somehow to remove the polite posts. There's a problem there. Sina says, font error or emoji? I mean, it could be either the mojibake, the little, mojibake is when it's garbled because of a difference in encoding. That's called tofu. The tofu little squares just mean that whatever character is showing up there, your font pack doesn't support. So it could be emoji. That's pretty common with recent emoji, but given that it's a lot together, my guess would actually be probably something CJK, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, that the font pack for the word cloud text generator doesn't support. Okay, well, looks like we have, in fact, failed to remove the polite post, so that's something to look into. To do. Why do I see? Thank you. Why is people polite? Okay, so that's one thing to think about. Another thing, and I'm actually just going to get rid of all of this. And actually, I have a function here. Okay, that helped a little bit. Shouldn't have to do this because I removed polite posts earlier. We went up and looked at that code before. All right, so let's look at this termite, because I think that this is going to be super helpful for us. I'm not familiar with this particular project, but I am familiar with some of the authors. So here we have a difference between frequent on the left versus salient. Salient just means like important and noticeable terms. So they look kind of similar, to be honest. Oh, I see. It's for each topic and which words are important for that specific topic. Okay. So topic 6 has to do with context, tasks, and focus. But in the frequency domain, it looks like it's just talking about different approaches and techniques and exploration methods, which is a little bit more vague. at least in terms of research topics. So we define term saliency as follows. For a given word W, we compute its conditional probability, so the probability of the topic given the word, the likelihood that observed word W is generated by the latent topic T, so that's one. We also compute the marginal probability, the probability of the topic, the likelihood that any randomly selected word W prime was generated by topic T. Okay, this is a cross. Okay, so this is the probability that the given topic would generate any word, and this is the probability that the given topic would generate the specific word that you're interested in. We define the distinctiveness of word W as the Kullback-Leibler distance, divergence distance between PTW and PT. So the more likely it is that the word was generated by that topic, conditional on the probability that any word would be generated by that topic. So basically, the more distinctive the word is, the higher its term saliency is. Dual says, paper should mention what kind of plot they're using. So many interesting looking plots. Yeah, there's a lot of them. And Kuvis suggests that it might be due to capitalization. Pretty sure we think we did that in the... let's see real quick. So let's check out the code that we wrote last time. Okay, yeah, we don't do any going to lowercase there. Have you solved the problem, perhaps? I'm pretty sure I did. Text.lower. Where's the other one? Oh. Flow. Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I think I didn't at any point convert them to lowercase. So let's actually add that into this code. I think you've solved it. Thank you. Who is that? Kovis. Kovis said that. Yeah. Well, not word list. Sorry, I'm getting back up to speed on this code. So we're creating a blank set of indices. We have a stop word list. We're adding them to a keyword processor to use flash text, which is much faster than sort of like doing double looping. And then we're going through the forum post, and then we're doing extract keywords. And I'm going to double check that extract keywords isn't actually doing this for us. Extract keywords, flash text, lowercase. And this is a very good library with kind of sparse documentation. Big Apple, New York. Unclean name, standardized name. Let's pop up the console real quick and look at extract keywords. Oh, right. I'm just trying to get more information about this. Well, all right then. I'm trying to get more information about this this class and see what sort of functions it allows. Okay, not helpful. Fantastic. Can I see, using tab complete, what other types of things I could do here? No, not helpful. All right. So, David saying, what is the earlier word plot called? Is it a scatter plot? Oh, I think you're talking about scatter text. And this library is by Jason Kessler, who's actually in the Seattle area. I've seen him at quite a few, what are they called? Meetups. He also gave a talk at PyData when it was in Seattle. So here's the idea, and here's more frequent with Republican politicians, here's more frequent with Democratic politicians, and we could search for a word like, I don't know, peanut? Peanut didn't make it into the visualization. Tells, so I see tells is in there. Tells. And then these are words more frequently associated with tells, I guess. Oh, I see. The information was down here, and then you can see some of the mentions of the specific word in the talkbooks. So scatter text is the name of the library. All right, so I want to, I think I can just say 2 lower, right? Does it have a... Oh, it's just dot lower. All right, so we're gonna extract the keywords from the posts, but we're gonna make sure that the posts are all lowercase. So when we commit that, if we wait for the commit to finish, assuming it happens without errors, and then we rerun, do you have to refresh? We might have to refresh. I think we have to refresh this so that we can refresh the code that we're importing. And then if we run it from the top, hopefully it'll work. Oh, and people are saying just lower. Thank you. There's a little bit of a lag between you and me, unfortunately. All right, what were we learning about? Termite. The formulation describes, so going back to the formula we were reading before, in an information theoretic sense, how informative the specific term is for determining the generating topic versus a randomly selected term. I can never remember which way entropy is. Has high entropy? Low? I can never remember which way it goes. Anyway, but this is from sort of like measures of information theory and Shannon's entropy. All right, so this is all well and good. And actually, I would love to have this visualization just for our topics. I think it's fantastic. Icon has code Plex? GitHub? No? All right, let's see if it is in the topic modeling toolbox. So that was citation 21. They're not in order. I hate the citation style so much in just the depths of my soul. It has no benefits. All right, we use LDA models. Okay, from this package, not helpful. Let's see if I can find something else online. So here's the paper. Here's the link to the paper. All right. Do we have code? Software. Okay. Do I have to download a jar? I don't want to download a jar. Okay. Oh, that's not so bad. We have two components, one for processing the output of topic models and providing the content as a web service, and then visualizations for visualizing them in the web browser. This might not work for our particular use case. This repository contains the web-based visualizations, which include a web server and various interactive visualizations. And you have to run it as a script. And it's in D3. Woof. Okay, I don't really want to futz with JavaScript. So this is a very cool idea that I don't really want to handle the stack for. Let's see if we can get Python implementation of Termite. Automation tool focused on web development. That's not it. Topic model visualization. Data visualization using Python. YAML format. I think that's the same automation library. And the topic of visualizing topic models, the visualization could be implemented with these ones. LDA viz looks reasonably good, but we're not doing LDA, so we'd have to do LDA to use that, and it's pretty slow and pretty compute intensive, so I'm not super interested in it. Word clouds. Everybody loves a word cloud. You may choose stack bar chart, heat map, table, histogram, or violin plot. None of those are helpful. Okay, well, this was a interesting but not super relevant to us, unfortunately, little detour. But we might be able to use that that measure of saliency as a way to pick words that we use to summarize our topic. So that might be one useful thing. Oh, what is Termite? Termite is this system for visualizing topic models, and you can see, here's what it looks like. For each topic, you have a, so you have the words in your vocabulary, which looks like the most frequent words, and then the topics are shown by the weight of the use of those specific words, where the topics are generated using an unsupervised topic modeling method, which is not what we're doing. Well, okay, we are using an unsupervised, it's not really topic modeling, clustering method. And I want similar information now. So this could be, I think there's some good ideas here. I don't want to use their implementation. Again, don't, D3, would prefer not to. Yeah. Oh, so it is, the person who was like, is that cluster emoji? And I was like, I think it's probably CGK. We were both right. It is, yes, it's Korean, and also it's emoji. Clustering, and then if we look down here at our word clouds, now that we've run it again, did we rerun it? Do y'all remember if we reran it? I don't think we reran it. Let's try rerunning it and see if we get a different word cloud. So let's start a new markdown. Visualization brainstorming. And this, I know that this is a lot of sort of like trying to figure out what to do at this point, but that's how I do visualizations. I think about it real hard, and I consider a lot of things, and I pick the one that actually works. And because this is what I'm going to look at a lot, I'm going to want to have something that works well. ACL 2020 should have a separate session on beautiful text viz. That would be fantastic. I would love to have a text visualization workshop at ACL. ACL is the Association for Computational Linguistics. They run a variety of conferences, and they are the premier publication venue in NLP. Actually, I think 2020 is going to be in Seattle, which is where I am. So, termite-based model, where, term weight. So, what would be in the termite-based model? In the termite-based model, we would have topics as columns, terms as rows, and weight visualization of term distinctiveness, which was, I believe, was it the, what was the measure of distinctiveness they used? It was one of them hyphenated ones. Kullback-Leibler. Kale divergence as Kale divergence. The probability of the topic given the word divided by probability of topic generating the specific term divided by the probability of the topic generating any term. So this is a way of weighting to make sure that the most frequent topics, or topics that have a lot of words in them, aren't just like, all of these words are in this topic. They're very distinctive for only this topic because they show up a lot. And there's a lot of words here. So that might be one potential method that we could use. We could use a bigram-based method. Reporting the reporting the two terms with the median frequency, because we were looking at that paper in this lecture slides, where the graduate students who were summarizing document clusters were using bigrams, and they were staying away from very common and very distinctive words and very uncommon words. So Hack314 says, how does EMNLP compare to ACL? So they are both ACL star conferences. They're both run by ACL. I mean, they're both very good conferences. They happen in different times and different places. I would say on prestige levels, maybe ACL is like a tiny bit above EMNLP, but not like a huge amount. EMNLP is empirical methods in natural language processing. The biggest thing for me, if you're trying to pick which conference to go to, is going to be based on the workshops, because to get a workshop at an ACL conference, you submit a workshop proposal, and if it's accepted, then they decide which of the ACL star conferences you're going to be at. So if you're really interested in like computational social science or like medical NLP or representation learning, then you should go to the conference that has the workshop that's most relevant to your work. Yeah. It's in Toronto. Covis, does Rachel have an office? Oh, I gotcha. So we're actually a distributed company. We're all over. I think somebody works near Toronto, one of our engineers, and a couple of our other engineers are actually from Toronto, so they're there every so often, but we don't have like an office or anything. No. Pranav says, I think we can tangentially recreate the termite viz by using GenSim's LDA output and using word clouds to output for subtopics in each topic. We could. Again, I don't really want to futz with LDA, is my preference, especially because I'm pretty happy with the spectral clusters. Ideally, I would want a visualization that I can use just for the spectral clusters. So, yeah. Also, the only like official Kaggle events that we do are the ones that are online. And then, so we work with Logic AI, I think, a different company, and they do the different Kaggle Days events. And then the ones that Kaggle runs, historically, we ran the one in San Francisco, and the rest are just sort of like, we're kind of there. Sometimes one of us will show up, but we don't run those. Okay, so those are the two ideas I have so far, just going through this this particular document. And then these terms, where are they getting from? Okay, so term commonness. So this might also be helpful. So this is the... so this is the log frequency of the target word divided by the log frequency of the word the, which is going to be the most frequent word in English, usually, almost always. Okay, so this is also a potential way of selecting. This is not going to show good with formatting. So this might be another way of And I'm just going to post my link here so we got the notes. Oh, is it done running? I still see thanks. That's not right. Okay, well, I'm going to have to figure this out at some point. Because, oops, oh no, my kernel. It's got to be launched. My work is saved. Don't worry about that. Here we have word, thanks. Here. Oh, we got to rerun everything. All right, let's run it all. But I shouldn't see thanks here because we are removing it. And I'm pretty sure we do the RPP. We do use our RPP package that we wrote. It has one function in it to remove the sample posts. And so we drop them from both the sample post and also sample post info. Maybe drop is not doing what I think it's doing. That's a potential thing. So, not futzing with LDA. Yeah, this is just my preference. Do I have any resources for computational social science? Anything that could help someone with sociological background and deep learning experience? It's not really my field, but I would look up, this is the main publication venue, so I'd look up like past proceedings. ICWSM, which I call in my head ICSWIM. I don't think anyone else calls it that, and also that's not the letters order that they are in. So that's my recommendation. Dwell says, are you removing stop words before lowercasing? It shouldn't matter. So I'm only doing the lowercasing in the function before I compare it to my keyword processor. So I'm only lowercasing it right when I'm comparing it to my list of words. What was I doing? We've rerun it. Maybe the thanks is gone? Did we just look and it was still there? Yeah, we just looked and I was still there. Slides on text visualization. Okay, so this is another option that we could use to find the most helpful words rather than just a frequency-based approach. G-squared regression model. What regression model? What's your regression model? I want the output from this regression model looks super good. Where'd you get it? What type of regression? These are lecture slides. This isn't meant to be like a standalone resource, so I am sort of not doing the best option. Not consuming this content in the way it was meant to be consumed. Nico Tuba says, with drop, you have to specify access. Access 1 means drop columns. I want to drop rows, specifically. So do I need to say drop 2? Marion says, I have a data set with categorical data. Is it practical to use Hoyun encoding? I've never heard of this. What are some classification algorithms that can handle categorical data? Most tree-based methods will be able to handle categories. I have no idea what Hoyun encoding is. Never heard of it. No, it doesn't mean it's not good. It just means it's unfamiliar. RPP. It's a problem with getting to the point where it's a large... all right, let's actually just like... we'll look at a couple of these. Distribution of a rank, primary notebook, looking for any pre-trained. Access equals 0 for rows. Oh, one hot encoding. Yeah. In general, I would That makes so much sense. A little sip of coffee. In general, I would recommend not using one-hot encoding and using label encoding unless you have a strong reason not to treat your categorical variables, not to transform your categorical variables into numeric variables. So, yeah. Nicotua says, drop without the axis parameter will drop from the row index. Okay, that is what I want it to do. So that seems to be working as I intended. Simple post info. Remove HTML tags. It is dropping, right? It's not just like re-indexing and all the data's still there. That could be an issue. I'll futz with that a little bit on my own. Term saliency normalized by freak most common word. I'm getting very off track. Let's finish this lecture slide, and then I might spend some time trying to get these to work and see what they look like in a little bit. Also, apparently I need to revisit my data cleaning. So this looks like, okay, so this shows you where in different documents different words are occurring. So this looks like for helping you get through really long documents, which is not what I care about. Here we look at the occurrence of specific terms in really long documents. Again, not what I'm looking for. Concordance, so like a lot of like corpus-based researchers use concordance all the time. They love to build concordance databases. Not super helpful for us, at least for this specific thing. And this is more looking at basically where in the document does this word show up, where in all my documents does this word show up, and I want to see them all. So not helpful. Word tree, removing super infrequent things, again, not super duper helpful for me because I don't care especially about syntactic structure. And this looks like, again, this is sort of like a summary of common syntactic structures. Node grouping. Oh, I see. So this is like who begat who, and how names occur in families. Blah, 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 blah. Not super helpful. Again, not something that I care deeply about. Revision history. Interesting, but not what I'm looking for. History flow. So these are for like if documents are changing over time and how you can show that. Again, not super what I'm interested in. I know there's a lot of discourse and dialogue analysis visualizations that I'm, again, not. I might be interested if I were doing more with the structure of the discussions, but I don't care as much about the structure of the discussions as I do about the topics and the content of the discussions. So I'm not really interested in building sort of this tree-based model showing how conversations are going over time. And like who's talking to who, I'm less concerned about that. Here we're creating links between entities. I don't think we have enough documents that it really makes sense, because on a given day, we'll probably have between, 100 to 200 posts on Kaggle, excluding competitions that I look at. And this does include competitions, so that a little bit more, but, and these are just a vast variety of different visualizations. Right now I'm using spectral clustering, which is a graph-based method. Adita asks about machine learning engineers versus data scientists. That's a huge question, and I would look it up online. There's a lot of discussion about it. Lots of diagrams. Parallel tag clouds. Okay, so this looks like for something that's happening over time. Oh, I see. So these are LDA. So these are unlabeled topics, and this is connecting the topics based on clouds, on tags, and it looks like co-occurrence. Theme river. Okay, so this is how people are talking about things over time based on specific important topics. This might actually be pretty interesting, but it's, at least for Kaggle, it's just going to be competition, competition, competition. And like the words associated with that specific competition, like Aptos or lung, lung one. Interesting. And this looks like frequency of topics over time. Okay, so these are how things are changing over time, which is not necessarily bad, but is not my main focus here again. Right now, it's not my main focus. I could imagine adding that to this project, but not right now. Okay, so we've gone through this this slide deck. Again, if you're interested in checking it out, there's a lot of good information here. It is the CSE 512 data visualization. This is a course in computer science at the University of Washington, and then the course notes are text visualization. So a lot to think about there. Most of it wasn't super relevant for us, but a nice sort of broad coverage of what people are doing in text visualization. I think my best bets are going to be, first of all, I'm going to figure out why it's not working. Why are the terms no? Why do they show up? David wrote the word out. Just say that word in your head instead of listening to me say it. Pneumothorax? Pneumothorax. Pneumothorax? Yeah. Yeah, so going forward, I think that we could have, I think we could just honestly just try all three of these methods, and let me rank them by how long I think it's going to take me. So I think the bigram-based method is going to be trivial, famous last words. And that's just taking all of the terms in the topic, ranking by frequency, and then taking the median two terms, which I could see being helpful. Yeah, I could see that being pretty effective. I could also see it being absolutely uninterpretable, so we'll see. And then this term saliency method, where you get the most salient terms by normalizing the weight, the frequency of the term based on the frequency of the most common term in the document or in the topic. I'm guessing in the whole corpus. So normalized by the most frequent term in your corpus, all of the terms in your document. Although I think that's more of a scaling thing. I don't know if that's going to change the ranking of anything. So I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. I don't know how useful it will actually be for, I think, and then some sort of regression? Because I remember they had results that were like regression results. And I was like, I have never, you didn't talk about the regression model anywhere else. So that might be a helpful approach. And then this termite-based model, which actually I really like. I think this might be super helpful, especially if the words are very distinctive between the topics. So we didn't actually do any visualizations, but we did talk about a lot of visualizations. And I think we have some good terms, good sort of like rich veins to mine. This is me with like my pickaxe. Mine going forward. And also there's a bug, and I don't know where the bug is, but we don't have the word think removed. So that's something to talk about. Yeah. Sina says, do you also work on old Kaggle competitions and live coding streams? I haven't, but if people want me to, once this project is done, because I do need to do this for work, I'd be, interested in. I'm going to tell you right now, I have limited patience for model tuning, so I'm probably not willing to spend more than like a month on a single project, which is why I've never really gotten into Kaggle competitions, because I'm like, my usual approach to a problem is, I have something, it works pretty well, I'm done. I'm done then. I don't want to spend a bunch of time futzing with it. So, yeah. The suggestion for the thanks issue would split help. Split like doing some lemmatization so that thank you, thanking are all different words. Maybe. Oh, are you talking about like there's punctuation next to them? Let's try that out real quick. Ooh, I'm out of focus. Oh, is it focusing? It is. Oh, I forgot to turn off autofocus. Sorry. I hope I haven't been blurry the whole time. All right. Python. What was I doing? Removing spaces? No, you'd wanna remove punctuation. Remove punctuation. Where's the one that removed all the Unicode? Does not work with Unicode strings. String dot punctuation is ASCII only. String dot translate only takes a dictionary. Code points are looked up using that mapping. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out a way that we can do this really quickly and will also help us work with non-ASCII characters, because people don't just post on Kaggle in ASCII, and also sometimes people use emoji. Okay, so I'm gonna need to, well, let's try this. All right, so we needed to add the library. Although I think this is still using the string dot punctuation, so it's not going to handle Unicode super well, but I also don't know that that is the issue. So I think this should work. I think I can also do this so it's a little bit easier to read. Oh, of course. Okay. Keyword processor not defined. Unexpected character after line continuation character. Oh, I guess we can do it as just one big one. I know it's not PEP 8, but I just want to see if it works. And it's just running the single line, and I keep doing that out of habit, and it's not gonna help. All right, commit, and then we'll reload this and see if that helps. Maureen says, one more question. How would you approach classification problem with a lot of features, categorical and numerical? How would you select the best features? Based on what criteria are you going to encode categorical data? Why? Thanks. Otherwise, would you just give the whole data to an XGBoost or an ensemble learner? I mean, it depends on size, really. I mean, at some point, you can't get away from having to, like, look at your data. And it ran without errors, so let's reload this real quick. At some point, you're not going to get away from... Actually, maybe if we remove it. What if we re-add the same post? Will that work? Anyway, sorry. At some point, you're just going to have to look at your data and think about it and know what's in it. If you're working professionally, you have access to the people who generated the data, so you can, depending on what you're doing, but usually, so you can just ask people and be like, hey, which of these do you think is important? And leverage other people's deep knowledge of your data set. Yeah. For very wide data, there's a family of techniques for it, and I don't remember where they are. But if you search for like techniques for very wide data, hopefully you'll find them. Yeah, I mean, some categorical variables probably aren't going to be that helpful, but many of them will be. You could look for which ones tend to occur together. You could do different types of dimensionality reduction to reduce the number of dimensions. Because if you think about a categorical data, so if you're doing one hot encoding and you have a bunch of categories that are existence or non-existence, you can generally conflate a lot of those depending on how they're distributed. Yeah, it depends. It depends on your problem. While we're waiting for this to run, let's see if that fixed the problem. It's going to take a second because we have to retrain our clusters. Oh, I guess I didn't have to run it from the top. No, I did because we need to remove the words before we retrain our clusters. And I think the part that takes the longest is actually getting the document embedding. Although this one's taking a while to run in the first cell. Or maybe it's not updating any of the cells until all of the cells have run. Interesting. Anyway, oop. Oh, I see. It just took a while to read in the data. So now it's actually going through and doing the processing and creating the clusters, and it didn't work. Gosh darn it. Okay, well, I'm gonna work on this on my own and see if I can figure out what's going on. I'm going to commit this version so you guys can check it out if you like. And this kernel is public. If you search for forum post embeddings plus clustering, it's in there. And then my notes are at the end. And I know that this was a lot of thinking about things and not a lot of writing code in this particular week, but we'll get there. So I think next week we'll probably actually work with some of these visualizations and see if we can't get them looking good and informative and better than these guys. Why? Why aren't you removed? I'm removing you twice. I'm removing it here in this, with this regular expression, and I'm removing it in the pre-processing before I even do any clustering. So, don't know what's up with that. Need to figure it out. All right. Y'all saying thanks. I know you're being polite, but it does feel like you're mocking me. I know you're not mocking me. Mohammed said it removed thank, but not thanks. And yet, look, here we have thank star. So anything starting with thank should be captured by this capture group and removed. And here, thanks is one of the words. All right, well, we'll do some debugging offline. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. We will be kicking off with a new paper for the Kaggle reading group. I might do a vote. I might just make an executive decision because I was thinking about it, and I said during the last reading group that I wanted to do efficient net because people have been asking for it, but also the other paper about how models are exploiting statistical anomalies really ties in with everything else we've been talking about and about model validation and about contextual embeddings, and so I'm really leaning towards that one. Also, I just really want to read it, so I might make a executive decision, and that's the one we read. I don't know. Stay tuned. I'll let you know. All right. And I will talk to you guys on Wednesday. I'll see you then. Bye. Well, I'll see you before then on Kaggle.